Increase climate literacy. Turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation. Connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive. And highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world. If we care enough. 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 Welcome to Wealth Building Wednesdays, where we center Black, women, and BIPOC-owned businesses, highlight opportunities and initiatives for underrepresented entrepreneurs, and center socially innovative enterprises, building generational prosperity, fostering real networking, and recycling Black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
And I'm so happy to welcome into the space an entrepreneur. Some would say mom-trepreneur. I don't know how you say that. She is a mental and maternal health advocate, founder and CEO of a company called She Matters. She's a mom with a professional background in education and talent development. Jade Kearney Dube. Am I saying your last name right? I think I probably am not.
Hello, good morning. It's Jade Kearney Dube.
Dube, okay. I need that little accent on the E. Jade Kearney Dube. It's nice to meet you. It sounds like your business, you took a personal challenge and turned it into an opportunity.
Absolutely. I think sometimes when you're called to do things, especially social impact ventures, it comes from something that you've experienced personally. When I was pregnant with my first child 6 years ago, I understood all of the challenges associated with being a Black woman and being pregnant, but no one had talked to me about the postpartum challenges. I went through postpartum mental illness. I had residuals and side effects from having preeclampsia and hemorrhaging during my delivery, and I didn't have any information about what to do once I got home.
And it sounds, I'm looking at the bio and just reading about you, that part of that journey, and it sounds like a really hard one, was a realization that as a Black woman, there's even less support and less help for that type of challenge.
Right. And we have a unique challenge to where there is a cultural stigma around mental health and mental health, right? And then there's this systemic racism that happens. And so what that equates to is neglect. So, I felt like I was failing cultural norms of suffering in silence, and I wasn't getting help from the healthcare system at all around my postpartum period in particular.
And so, you obviously you found a way through this, and then you thought, well, what?
Well, what I did was, the way that I got through it was exploring all of these different resources that weren't widely available to us, right? So I had to dig, and I was on the internet a lot, and I realized a lot of those a lot of those resources weren't for us. I wasn't comfortable being on those platforms. So the way that I healed was by creating those platforms and healing with other Black women going through postpartum comorbidities like mental illness or just different physical physical comorbidities that happen during your postpartum period. The healing journey I did with everyone and created the company with my best friend during that time period.
So let's talk about the company. What is it?
Well, She Matters is a digital health platform designed to decrease Black maternal morbidity through cultural competency and technology. So what that means is we go to hospital networks, we go to medical schools, and we help healthcare providers better understand how to meet the needs of Black women through our culturally competent certification, right? We're the only folks who have that. You come to us, you become trained in Black maternal health.
From start to finish? I mean, from, morning sickness to postpartum?
Well, what it really is we explore systemic racism and how it affects Black women. So doctors know about postpartum, they know about morning sickness, but what they don't know is the cultural implications around how Black women move through the healthcare system, Black mothers in particular. They don't know the history and they don't understand those cultural nuances around being uncomfortable in the healthcare system. And we help healthcare providers better understand that. Most healthcare providers on average get about 3 hours of diversity and inclusion, which is ridiculous. That's for everyone.
Right.
That's for every diverse person, right?
Mm-hmm. And it really doesn't make sense given the crisis that we're having with Black maternal health in this country right now.
Absolutely. I think the resources that are available right now make Black women do the heavy lifting. And what we say is we need to open the lines of communication. Black women and healthcare providers need better communication, and both parties need to feel safe when engaging in a relationship for better patient outcomes. Black women shouldn't have to become doctors to have safe births and live through pregnancy. If you're a lawyer, you shouldn't have to go online and read medical books so that you don't die during and after delivery, during or after delivery.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not together with my former husband, my child's father, but I give him credit because, having worked in an emergency room before as a social worker, he was able to go in there and chop heads and, and really be an advocate. He did a great job. They really were happy to see us leave. But, that, not everybody has that. Oh, I worked in an emergency. She needs this. Why aren't you doing that? No, she doesn't want this, and I, for me, it was just weird. I just thought you go to the hospital and they give you what you need and it shouldn't be a problem, right? They deliver babies all day. Why would it be a problem? And I realized when I had my child that, that having that advocate was everything in that situation.
Yes, Black doulas are extremely important to advocate in this space because, again, we already reached the hospital with apprehension and anxiety, right? We're worried about what's going to happen, if we're going to be treated with dignity and respect. And what that doula does is they make sure that happens, right? You have conversations beforehand. You're being proactive. And so I think doulas don't get enough shine, across the nation of the work that they do.
Right. I mean, my kid is a teenager. I didn't even know what a doula was. I was like, do I need a what? Okay. And and I pay attention to holistic health and all that. So give me an example of the kind of thing you're talking about where, a Black woman, a Black mama might do it differently or might need a different kind of care that our mainstream system just wouldn't know or would miss.
So, for instance, if a Black mother has high blood pressure and she goes to the hospital and they say, well, what's wrong? And it's like, God told me to come here. Some people might send her immediately to the mental health ward. But if you understand colloquialisms in our culture, God telling you to come here just means that I came here because I felt like I was called to come here. Like, other people don't know that. I'll take it past maternal health. If someone says my sugar is high, do you know that means diabetes, right? So we have all these colloquialisms and cultural mannerisms and things that people don't quite understand. And we take that approach. understanding that someone talking about their spiritual life helped them get to the hospital, you cannot dismiss that and say that they are, insane.
Right. They're hearing
The
voices.
woman might never come back to the right.
Right.
They might never come back to the hospital.
Yeah, they're hearing voices as opposed to this is a really important matter. It rises to
Yes.
the level of Jesus, urging me to get
Yeah.
my butt here. That's
Yes.
that's an interesting perspective. So tell us about your business model and how we can support the work that you're doing.
Well, our business model is B2B. So we go into medical schools and hospital networks and some health startups, and we do cohorts. So if you have 100 healthcare professionals who you want to be deemed as culturally competent and certified, it's all done on an LMS. 80% of it is async. In order to be certified, one, you have to speak to a Black mom, and two, you have to have an implementation plan. We don't do this thing where you go in and you're like, I clicked all the buttons, I'm certified. No, we want to know how you're going to take this certification and how you're going to use it in your practice, right? The other part to our business is on Mother's Day, we'll be releasing our symptom tracker. And what that is it will help mothers identify symptoms of preeclampsia, eclampsia, and HELP syndrome. That is the number one reason why women die during and after childbirth. So if we can get a hold on that and help moms better communicate with doctors once they are in the delivery room, that would make a huge change.
So release, the Mother's Day release, is that an app?
Yes, it is an app that can be downloaded on your Apple Watch or your iPhone.
Under She Matters.
Yes, it'll be in the App Store on Mother's Day.
Okay, and so then on Mother's Day, I download She Matters, and while I'm pregnant, I can be tracking my own symptoms. Is that how it works?
And after pregnancy, yes. So most mothers who die after pregnancy, right?
Right.
So you delivered your baby, you have high blood pressure, and the symptom tracker is just going to help you track your symptoms. So if you're in an emergency, it'll strongly suggest that you get to a doctor, to an emergency room immediately.
Okay, so the app helps you tell if it's serious because we are so trained to suck it up, shake it off, keep it pushing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the app is definitely a help me to our core product, which is our certification.
So the app will, is for us, and and your certification is for the businesses. So if a person, if part of our KBLA delegation here is working in any kind of hospital or doctor's office and interacting with Black moms, they might consider it. How would they find out more about your product?
They can go to www.shematters.health, and we go from there.
Shematters.health. So it sounds like you are saving lives.
That is what we are doing. Absolutely. That is the goal. That's the path forward.
And just real quick, are you guys being impacted by this sort of backlash against diversity, equity, inclusion, which includes cultural competency at this time in our history?
I would say it's interesting because we've always had two types of customers who truly care about being culturally competent and customers who do it for PR, right?
Yeah.
And so there's no way it's hard for us to discriminate between the two. Sometimes you figure it out, sometimes you don't. I will say that people who have high death rates or maternal health rates in hospitals are not really falling into that category. I will say where it hurts us and people like us are where entrepreneurs are, applying for funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily in our business model, but just around things like, the fund that's being sued right now, right?
Right.
Things like that. It's hurting us in those spaces around funding. And I will tell you, before this, it was hard to get funding. It's always difficult to get funding for Black women, especially.
Yeah. Well, Jade Kearney Dube, it is really nice to talk with you. We should track the She Matters app for Mother's Day if we know mamas to be. And we can go to shematters.health if we're part of an organization that might benefit from cultural competency certification.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Congratulations and good luck to you on your continued journey to spread the direly needed element of cultural competency.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
And you as well. This is the right time to call me if you got something to say. 800-920-1580. Did you all see that hearing yesterday with Robert Hur? Interesting. It became a proxy war between Democrats and Republicans about whether or not Joe Biden is fit to serve as president of the United States. We can talk about that. We can talk about other things. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in celebrating Women's History Month. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Join me and Black Lives Matter Los Angeles for a reclamation in honor of Breonna Taylor called Black Women Are Divine. There'll be food, music, performances, and healing services with a special performance by Aloe Black. I'll be your MC, and it's all free. Black Women Are Divine is a space for Black women, girls, and femmes to receive love and healing, and for others to express their appreciation. Many of the 33 Black Lives Matter grassroots chapters across the nation are participating in this honoring of the memory of Breonna Taylor on the anniversary of her death. The BLMLA event is taking place on Sunday, March 17th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Norman O. Houston Park at 4800 South La Brea in Los Angeles. The park at the Summit. For special parking options and more information, visit blmla.org. Say her name, Breonna Taylor, and join us in loving on Black women. Happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And reaching out to you, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. That's the number if you've got something to say about a thing. I would love to talk with you. So a lot of things going on. I'm sure you've heard by now. I hope you've heard that the Biden administration is making moves to build a pier in order to be able to deliver humanitarian supplies into Gaza by sea, to bypass the land entrances to Gaza. And I guess the U.S. military apparently has lots of experience building these kind of piers. They're temporary. They can just quickly assemble that. The problem with it, though, is that you still got to get the food from the shore to the interior where the people are. And that is part of the problem because there's constantly bombing right now by Israel. So you can take the food from the ship to the pier. And this is the Biden administration really being literal about no boots on the ground because U.S. soldiers are going to have to build that pier, right? And so I guess what they're saying, as long as they stay on the boat and they don't come off the boat, technically there's no boots on the ground there. But we're talking about 1,000 troops participating in an operation to build this pier. They say they want to deliver 2 million meals a day. But again, once you get them to the shore, where are those trucks? Are they going to be able to transport that food in the middle of shelling and bombing? This is part of the problem that international aid, organizations have been pointing out. So without a ceasefire, even a temporary ceasefire, it still remains very challenging. And it's the same thing, I was celebrating the dropping of food from the air and wondering why we hadn't done it sooner. Then I saw an interview with this woman from the UN Food Aid Agency who was saying that the reason that's a last resort is because you don't know where those things are going to land. You can't target the places where it's needed. How do we know that, it's going to go to civilians at all? What is the condition of the food when it lands on the ground, even though it's parachuted down? And that it's just an inefficient and not helpful way of delivering aid. So I say all this to say not that the U.S. shouldn't be doing it, because I guess if 1 or 2 kids gets food, it's worth it. If the pier works, then great. But it seems to me that it is humanitarian theater in the sense that it's something we do to make it look like we're trying to help, even though it might not really help. Because if you can put food on the shore, but you can't get it to where the people are, if soldiers continue firing and shooting at people who are trying to get aid, as we saw last week. True, they may have been rushing the convoy. Yeah, because people are literally starving to death, dying from lack of food. So they may have been rushing and trying to overwhelm that convoy to get the food, but for folks to end up being shot dead for that, it's just, to me, you can't really justify that. That said, the U.S. is moving forward with this pier plan, and they're saying that they're going to drive food from the pier onto the beach. How does it get from the beach to the people? What's the security like? And then the other part is that, of course, the Netanyahu government is saying that they're going to have to continue inspecting that. So again, that's part of the logjam, is getting the food past inspections and to the people. That pier doesn't solve that problem either. Japan has something called a Space One. It's a small rocket. It exploded before its inaugural launch yesterday. It's a company trying to become the first private Japanese company to put a satellite in orbit, and that was a fail. Of course, it doesn't mean it won't work in the future. We've seen several fails from SpaceX, and yet they're one of the most successful private space companies in the world. The Congress, the House of Representatives, is expected to vote today on a bill which would basically, will lead to a ban on TikTok nationwide. It's owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, even though that guy that was testifying before Congress was from Singapore. So they're trying to force ByteDance to sell TikTok or be banned. I've talked about this before. It seems very odd to me in a capitalist nation that you can force a private corporation to sell. They say that TikTok is a national security threat. The people who wrote that bill, probably right. So is Facebook, Meta. So is Twitter, X. But, it's interesting that now you have a strange bedfellows type situation because progressives like Maxwell Frost, have been speaking out against this bill all along. And now Trump has joined them because apparently he got bought off by one of his big donors who told him, no, we want to keep TikTok going. So now he's pivoted. And this will be an interesting vote because just like we saw with the border bill, right, which would have delivered many things conservatives, Republicans, America First, MAGA folks have been asking for. When Trump turned against it because he wanted to be able to run on saying that Biden hadn't done anything at the border, there was a mass fleeing from that bill, distancing, people deciding not to support it in the GOP. And it'll be interesting how far these Republicans are willing to allow themselves to be seen as being manipulated by the puppet master, DJT, who is now pivoted. And it's a sudden pivot, by the way, because he was railing against, remember how he was railing against TikTok? Now all of a sudden he is saying now we should not ban it. Maxwell Frost says he's highly concerned about our data being collective and being misused by both foreign adversaries and also domestic companies. He says it doesn't fix it, and we know that's true, but it's going to be interesting to see if these Republicans are going to just lay down and follow their commandant, their fearless leader. They're soon to be full on, I shouldn't say that. There would be full on dictator. I'm not going to say soon to be because I still believe that he who shall not be named, the 45th president, can be stopped. I still believe he can be stopped. But I'll have my eyes on that vote today. We've got news, traffic, and sports now. Then it's the perfect time to call me. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his nation is ready for nuclear war. The 71-year-old leader made the claim on Russian television Wednesday, just days before the presidential election that will almost certainly give him another 6-year term. In an interview, Putin said Russia is ready for negotiations on Ukraine, but they should be based in reality. When asked if Russia was ready for nuclear war, Putin said, from a military technical point of view, we are. President Biden has won the Georgia primary. Georgia Democratic Senator, African-American Raphael Warnock says the country should know by now the state shows up. Biden has clinched the Democratic nomination and will face former President Donald Trump in what's expected to be a tense rematch. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Unleash your style in 2024 at FS Cut and Color. Get a fabulous cut and color duo from one of their expert stylists at unbeatable prices. Only at Fantastic Sam's, where hair care meets affordability. Visit FantasticSams.com to find one of their 60 SoCal salons near you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A bad night for the Clippers. They lost by 18 at home to Minnesota, and at the end of the first quarter, the Clippers watched Kawhi Leonard walk to the locker room. He did not return. The Clippers medical staff said the team's leading scorer is suffering with back spasm. No word yet on whether Kawhi will be able to play Thursday night at Chicago. The Lakers are back in action tonight in Sacramento. Another critical game for the Lakers. They're trying to get into the 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. At the moment, the Lakers are a game and a half behind Dallas. Tip-off time at 7 p.m. on ESPN. UCLA forward Adine Bona, a 6'10 sophomore from Nigeria, was voted Pac-12 Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Bona averaged 1.8 block shots and played a key role in UCLA, allowing a conference-low 65 points per game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In the heart of California, where innovation thrives, access to high-speed high-speed internet is important to every family and business, Cal Broadband is the state's leading expert in the development and deployment of broadband infrastructure. Each day, we work to help advance the right policies that will expand the opportunities of reliable, high-speed internet to every community in our Golden State. Cal Broadband is working hard to connect California. Visit calbroadband.org for more information. That's calbroadband.org.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Hi, I'm Dominique DiPrima, inviting you to join me at the City of Hawthorne's Business Expo and Job Fair, presented by Hawthorne City Councilwoman Katrina Manning. Explore great opportunities with leading national and local companies and participate in panel discussions with top entrepreneurs such as Goose the Barber, Camille C. Terry, and special guest speaker Danny Bakewell Jr., president of the LA Sentinel. So please join me and Council Member Katrina Manning on Thursday, March 14th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Hawthorne Memorial Center at 3901 West El Segundo Boulevard in Hawthorne for the Hawthorne Business Expo and Job Fair. That's Thursday, March 14th, the City of Hawthorne's Business Expo and Job Fair. Visit their website at hawthornebusinessexpo.org or call 310-349-2908. That's 310-349-2908 to register. It's absolutely free and open to the public. I'll see you there.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You do belong here, and I'm glad you are here. 800-920-1580. Call me now, 800-920-1580, if you've got something to say. So it is going to be, as our illustrious Black Information Network pointed out, it is going to be Trump v. Biden. It's the matchup that nobody wanted, but the two elderly dudes running for president are now the official nominees. They got enough primaries on Tuesday to take them across the finish line, and they are set for a rematch. Apparently the first presidential rematch in more than 70 years. It does look like it will be a close race. I still think that Biden can win, and I hope that he does, even though, I've said repeatedly that I'm disappointed with some of his foreign policy choices, and I know that a lot of others are as well. I know he's being deeply harmed by the handling of the crisis in Gaza. That said, to say these are both two peas in a pod is just not the truth. It is not even close to the truth. And we have to, I'm not going to say, you're not black if you don't vote for him, or, this is a life or death, because it may not be. You might be able to thrive in an authoritarian fascist regime, or you might decide to move. You might survive. But is that what we want? Is that really what we want? Our democratic experiment that is the United States of America has had its ups and downs. It's got some flaws in the design, but we are fixing them. I feel like we are moving in the right direction. Well, we have been. We're making progress. And I know it's never all forward progress. You take 3 steps forward and it's 1 step or 2 steps back. What we don't want is 3 steps forward, 10 steps back. And that is what a victory by the current president, the former president, Donald Trump, that's what it represents. It's not my opinion. He's laid it out for you. And I think, as Paul in our chat said, if you haven't looked at Project 2025, you need to look at it, because they lay it out for you. And Trump has said it as well. And if you're tempted, like I am, to just think he's joking, think about Roe versus Wade. And it's not even about whether or not you agree that Roe v. Wade should have been overturned. It's about the lying, right? The Supreme Court, the new nominees, they're now justices. When they were nominees, all of them said Roe was settled law. All of Trump's appointees, they lied. They played in our face. And then the minute they got the opportunity, they took away a constitutional right that we have had for generations. Now they're saying they want to change the U.S. government. They want to make the president more powerful, more of a dictator. They want to diminish or gut these agencies that protect us, the citizens, i.e., the Environmental Protection Agency. We're in the middle of a climate crisis, and you want to take away the authority of the one agency whose job is to keep us from, burning our planet, incinerating into a useless piece of coal. Agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, which keep out harmful chemicals, rat poop, and other things that you don't want to consume. You take away their authority, their ability to regulate industry. At the same time, it's because there's so much going on that it's hard to track. But if you look at the way that in Republican states, they are passing laws to make it okay to use child labor. Why are they doing that? What is the purpose behind that? As you make it clear that you're going to get rid of regulations that protect workers, protect people, protect consumers, and also save the planet, you're quietly passing laws that loosen up the regulations on child labor. What is that vision that you have? What is that vision? Who are the children that are working in these factories? For the most part, they're migrant children. They're undocumented babies from Honduras, from other parts of Central America, Venezuela. Well, what they do is they create working conditions that are so hazardous and wages that are so low that no worker that wasn't coerced, frightened, with zero rights would take it. And then they pass child labor changes that make it possible for them to use children to do that work. That's the MAGA agenda. That's the MAGA agenda, and it's not me making it up. Trump has told you Project 2025, which is called that because it is a transition plan for what to do when Trump wins. Another conservative friend of mine asked a question that is just as chilling. What happens if Trump loses? what do we do? Are we prepared? And I believe that Trump will lose by a hair if we show up. And by we, I'm talking about black people. I'm talking about progressives. I am referring to unlikely voters. Those of us who don't, well, I won't put myself in that category because I'm pretty much of a likely voter. But those people who don't show up like clockwork every 2 years, 4 years, every election, they show up when they're inspired, worried, angry, or on a mission. If the unlikely voters show up, Biden will win by a wide margin. If a few of them show up, if we can keep the suppression to a minimum, if we can keep the propaganda that's being spread online, the misinformation, keep it, constantly refute it with actual facts, then I think Biden can win. It won't be by a wide margin, but he can win. And then what happens? Is it January 6th, the sequel? Are these folks really going to try to pivot to civil war? I would argue no. I do think they're a little. I don't think they're ready for civil war. But there are plenty of people that disagree with me. Are we prepared for America after Trump loses, for the Republican Party following a defeat? And what does that look like? Does it look like national security measures? Does it look like personal security measures in your home? I'm pretty sure I'm safe in South LA. I don't see the Proud Boys marching over here. But those are things we need to consider because the die is cast and is about to be Trump-Biden once again. The two old guys are going at it. Have you been tracking the scandal around the royal family and, Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales? She had some kind of operation. They said it was an abdominal operation, and she's out for months and coming back after Easter. Then she released a picture to say everything was A-OK. The picture was highly doctored. Some people said it was AI generated or just a bad Photoshop. There's been all these sort of conspiracy theories saying that she went to get a BBL. No, there's no way. That's wrong, I guarantee you. Or that she went to get plastic surgery. Modern plastic surgery does not take 3 months to recover from. People get plastic surgery and they're back, and some of it, they're back the same day. Some of it, is maybe a couple weeks. It ain't months. So there's, a lot of pressure. She actually ended up apologizing for photoshopping that picture, or should I say her accounts apologized. For all we know, that's probably a staff member apologizing on her behalf. In fact, we don't even know if she exists anymore, if she's, if they gave her the old Princess Diana treatment so that, now, okay, I'm speculating. I'm being a conspiracy theorist right now. But at least I give you a warning label when I do it. Maybe they unalived her so Prince William could have his side piece. He's just like his daddy. He got a side piece in waiting, and we can have Queen side piece the second, because apparently King Charles has got cancer. He waited 100 years to ascend to the throne. Apparently has cancer now. He could beat it. It's prostate cancer. People survive that, and they go on and have long and happy lives all the time. But he seems to be pretty sick. What that means, Prince William could be king. That's Harry's brother. That's Meghan Markle from Leimert Park. Princess Meghan of Leimert Park. That's her brother-in-law. He could be king any minute, and maybe it's a grand plan so he can, do that Camilla Parker Bowles move and have his. Now that is completely made up, because I haven't seen that conspiracy theory anywhere. They're talking about BBL. How is a royal princess lady that's skinnier than an ironing board going to suddenly pop up with a BBL? That's the dumbest conspiracy theory I've heard in a long time. We are definitely doing too much. I will say, though, that had Meghan Markle and Prince Harry ever put out a badly photoshopped picture to prove that they're just fine, surrounded by their kids with extra fingers and missing wrists and whatnot, they would have been skewered. And this Photoshop job was so bad that the Associated Press, the international news agencies, put a kill order on the picture, meaning they will not use it anymore because it, quote, appears to have been manipulated by the creator. Love to hear from you, 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Have you fallen behind on your water and power bill? LADWP has made paying your past due bills even easier. Sign up anytime online for Level Pay to get set monthly bills that include past due amounts. Or check out the special extended payment arrangements of up to 48 months to help pay down your bill. Visit ladwp.com/cares and sign up today. That's ladwp.com/cares.
With your Los Angeles Public Library card, you can access the latest music, movies, audiobooks, ebooks, graphic novels, and more, all for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Yes, let's get back to me and Fred, the good Fred. And I'm putting good in air quotes, Fred. Good morning.
Hello, Dominique. No, let's make it independent, Fred. That sounds a little bit better since I'm an independent voter. I'm an registered independent. You had on a gentleman yesterday. He said he was a software engineer. I came in on it, not from the beginning. I didn't get his age, but I looked up the income they make. They can make up to $200,000 a year. He said he couldn't buy the home in the neighborhood that he grew up in. I don't know what neighborhood he grew up in, but he seemed to be jealous of people that were 40, 50, and then he called us. I'm 71. He called us the elderly because we have homes and he doesn't. Well,
I mean, to be fair, you are elderly to him. He's a millennial. He's like 30. He's around 30. 30 years old. And he grew up, he did say on the air that he grew up in Baldwin Hills.
You mean the Baldwin Hills, where it costs $1 million to $2 for $1 million to $2 million for one home?
Well, that's L.A. pretty much almost anywhere. I mean, although there are some pockets where you could still find a home for $600,000, maybe $5, but L.A. is high.
Yeah, well, that's high end. I thought he was talking about a starter home because I was going to give him $750,000 that he can afford on his income of $600,000.
Well, you're assuming that he makes $200,000. There's plenty of software engineers that do not make anywhere near that, and I, especially younger people, I guarantee you that young man is not making $200,000.
He's not making $145,000 a year.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but you said 200. I know that's not right, but I don't know. Your point is what? He should be able to get a house, and thus all of his points are invalid. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, excuse me. The range was, and I looked it up on the internet. We know you can't trust it, but it was 100 to 200,000, and mid range was about.
Yeah, he may be making. Let's say he's making 100,000. You ain't gonna afford. You ain't gonna be able to save for no. You're gonna have to save a long time. Let me put it that way. To have a down payment for $1 million home, or even a $750,000 home.
Yeah, it took me 6 years to save for my first home. I put 27% down.
And how much was your first home?
Oh, it was $80,000.
Right.
But that was over 40 years ago. Everything is relative. My parents' first home was $15,000.
Okay, but is 80,000? My math isn't that enlightening quick. Miles probably is. What is $80,000 in today's dollars? I doubt it's $750,000.
Okay.
What I'm saying, good Fred, is that everything is relative, but housing costs have skyrocketed in relation to earnings, in relation to wages.
But there's always been that wide gap. He's just going to have to bite
it's wider.
And not go to the nightclub and whatever, because after I got my first house, like I said, I'm 36, taking 36% of my income right off the top.
Okay, this is $80,000 you bought your house for. What year was this?
1980.
Okay, 1980. Yep. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Indy Fred.
So
it's $319,000 in today's dollars.
Well,
$319,943.68. There ain't no house that you're getting in L.A. for that.
Okay.
At least acknowledge my point, Indy Fred. It's harder to get a house now than it was then. Period.
It every year has gotten harder since the 50s
right.
to buy a home.
And that was his point. Yeah.
And next year it'll be harder than this year, so you better start saving. All right. Last point, and he like I said, age 30. I said this to you before. Unless you're born before 1960, you didn't face no racism. He doesn't face racism. He didn't face racism when he went to when he got his education and got his job or whatever it is.
So Trayvon Martin didn't face racism?
No.
Breonna Taylor didn't face racism?
Breonna Taylor.
George Floyd didn't face racism? Well, you don't know his experience. Racism is alive and well. To say that if you weren't born before 1960, you didn't face racism is fantasy. I'm glad that you feel, very safe and secure, but you're living in a dream world.
You didn't face the racism that we did. We had to get our Caucasian friends from work or from school or whatever to go get us an apartment sometimes the front. He doesn't have to do that these days. He's not watching.
But he may. But if he wants to sell it and get equal market value, he may have to go get his white friend to go get it appraised and sold.
No, I've heard that lie.
It's not a lie. There's plenty of data to back it up. And here's the thing, Fred, the racism. It's true. We don't have as many lynchings unless you're talking about by the police, but a lot of the racism that the younger generations are facing is insidious. It's trickier. It's not as blatant. It's true that they're not facing the same kinds of challenges and conditions that you may have faced, but some of the kinds of racism and white supremacy they're dealing with is just as harmful and not as obvious.
Okay, I can't let you get away with the racism that one faced today as opposed to years ago. Years ago, it was just blatant. You wasn't going to UCLA just plainly, just to fill out an application and hopefully you get in and things like that, and then to go on to get a job and then promote and move up the ladder. You don't have those kind of problems today, or at least they're not like it was 50 years ago. That's guaranteed.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you on that, Fred. We are making progress, no matter how slow it is. We are definitely making progress. I'm not arguing that, but I think to say they're not facing racism. Have you seen the black acceptance rates at UCLA, for example? Post-affirmative action?
It's very low. My brother went to UCLA. I know what it is.
Okay. So not saying. So we actually agree, Fred. For once, maybe we should have a drink.
All right, thanks, Dominique.
All right.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, I appreciate the call. Fred called me at 800-920-1580. You can too. 800-920-1580. So, and that's it. And it's an interesting question. Does the younger generation, should they be quiet, put up, and shut up? I'm not saying you said that, Fred, but basically he's saying that they're not facing the kind of discrimination. And our guest was a millennial. They're not facing the kind of discrimination that Fred's generation faced. Fred is 70. So does that mean that they have nothing to complain about and they should just be grateful? Well, I think that each generation has their own challenges, and I feel like a lot of these stealth discrimination and some not so stealth. I mean, you're talking about, look at the rise in hate crimes under the 45th president, which continues that trend line today, which is part of why it really gave me pause when my conservative friend said, "Are you ready for what happens if Donald Trump loses?" Discrimination is discrimination, and I agree with you, Fred. The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice, meaning, yes, we've made progress, and yes, it's important to recognize that and not, throw our hands up. But I feel like, his complaints were legit, and he was talking more about the system. We're talking about Larry Newman, who was on yesterday, a millennial black software engineer who has given up on the system of capitalism and is really saying that his generation is the first generation to move to the left as they got older rather than moving to the right, becoming more conservative as they age, which many prior generations have done. It was an interesting conversation. You can find any of those dialogues that we have wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get them on YouTube where they live, or on the KBLA 1580 app, which you could download from the App Store or the Google Play Store. Really, really looking forward to my conversation with attorney Barbara Arnwine. You're going to love this woman. She's founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition, vice chair of the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, and she is going to talk to us about what is going on the national front around our voting rights and more. That's next, right after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his nation is ready for nuclear war. The 71-year-old leader made the claim on Russian television Wednesday, just days before the presidential election that will